Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell continuing to voice opposition to extending expanded unemployment benefits.
We clearly, I think, overwhelmingly feel that paying people more to stay home than to go back to work has been a deterrent to getting back to work. You're not likely to see anything like that in the starting place that I'll lay out in the next couple of days.
The extra $600 per week for out-of-work Americans expires at the end of the month, by which point lawmakers hope to have the next relief package signed.
Why is that important? Because real unemployment's hovering right around 21%. Coronavirus is not going anywhere. Trump yesterday said in his bizarrely quick, thank God, 27-minute news conference.
Some areas of our country are doing very well. Others are doing less well. It will probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better. Something I don't like saying about things, but that's the way it is. It's what we have. You look over the world. It's all over the world, and it tends to do that.
So what are people going to do? Because that's $600 a week. For a lot of people, was good. Nice incentive. My sister, I was talking to her the other day. She's like, I'm totally bummed. It's going to go away. She made far more money staying at home than she did working. A lot of people did. Not everybody, but a lot of people did. And when that goes away and you're stuck with only your state's unemployment, not going to be good for a lot of people. There is going to be a financial reckoning coming sooner rather than later. People want to know. That's the thing. At this point, they're looking at this and saying, all right, probably not going to die from it. It is an absolute pain in the ass. At the same time, I'm not being allowed to work. And because I'm not being allowed to work, or my business has cut my hours because we're only doing takeout or whatever it is, what happens from here? Because you got to pay your mortgage, you got to pay your rent, you got to pay your car payment, all of the stuff you got to pay. So what happens from here? And that's what people want to know. Mitch McConnell is pitching what he would like to see.
We do envision direct checks again.
And I've been saying the Republicans are not for extending the unemployment benefits. What they are for is some sort of incentive to put people back to work, but it's hard to do that if federally you're not in charge of everything and the states are running things. So if the states are running stuff and they're saying, hey, we're going to have to close down again, or we're going to have to reduce your capacity, or whatever it is, they're putting all kinds of restrictions on what you can and can't do work-wise. At that point in time, it's a tough thing. And I get the fact that the unemployment benefits for some were much better. Let's be real. Average unemployment, like here in Arizona, I think it's $285 statewide a week. So you throw that extra $600 in, you know, you're at a position where you're making almost $900 a week, and that's like $22 an hour. It's not bad. A lot of people out there weren't making $22 an hour, so it was okay for a while to stay home. But if that goes away, they're going to be SOL, and the financial reckoning is going to show up. So the damage that we saw early on in the health crisis is now moving over to the financial side, and the people are really starting to feel it. Last week we talked about the fact when it came to unemployment, shutting businesses down, if the feds say, look, if you want to do that in your state, that's fine. But the reality is you're going to have to do it with your own money if you want to give people extra cash rather than the feds. What would that have looked like? Would states have been so quick to shut things down? Would they have implemented a mask up policy, but businesses stay open with limited restrictions? It's a possibility. But when the feds are paying for it, So the question's going to be, now what? Like I said, his position is pretty pretty easy to see, old Mitch.
We clearly, I think, overwhelmingly feel that paying people more to stay home than to go back to work has been a deterrent to getting back to work. You're not likely to see anything like that in the starting place that I'll lay out in the next couple of days.
Again, not likely. I've thought where they'll meet the middle ground is maybe they cut this in half to 300 and do another round of checks and then do this for, say, the next 90 days. And then after that, cut the cord. But we'll see. But it's important. People need to understand that. Real unemployment's right around 21%. People that have gotten through this thing health-wise are looking around and they're worried because the bills are piling up and the government itself is going to eventually cut the cord. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. And the battle still begins when it comes to, yes, the coronavirus and what's going on with said coronavirus. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. There's just a lot of bad choices you can make. And your hope in this, because there is no playbook, is you pick the best of the worst situation. This was interesting. You know, they talked about the masking yesterday, and I don't really get into the Trump stuff when it comes to this because he's been very absent in a lot of ways, as have several governors and prominent politicians. Some have been out there on a day-to-day basis, and some have just been like, we're going to do this once a week or every once in a while, and we're going to let some other people handle it. And it's felt like you're just throwing stuff against wall and seeing what sticks. And but it's funny to watch the way that people battle, trying to fit the numbers and the data in the place they want to fit it into. This was interesting.
The median age of those who succumb to the China virus is 78 years old. Roughly half of all deaths have been individuals in nursing homes or long-term care. In one study, 90% of those hospitalized had underlying medical conditions. Young adults may often have mild or even no symptoms. They won't even know they're sick. America's youth will act responsibly, and we're asking everybody that when you are not able to socially distance, wear a mask, whether you like the mask or not.
Yeah, I don't know too many people are thrilled by the mask outside of Michael Jackson. 78, the medium age. That's interesting. What about the mortality rate? That's, to me, I want to know two things, the spread rate and the mortality rate. Who's getting it? And what's the actual mortality rate? So we look at the flu, it's about what? 0.1%. We look at something like this, and while you look at the numbers, and we've got what? Almost 4 million cases with about 142,000 deaths, give or take. What's the real number? We'll never know on either of those. But what's a real best guesstimate?
Our case fatality rate has continued to decline and is lower than the European Union and almost everywhere else in the world. Today, the average age is significantly younger. Hospital lengths of stay are almost half of what they were in April. So the stays are about half. The rate of cases requiring hospitalization has been reduced, and mortality among those admitted to the hospital is nearly 1/2 of what it was in April.
Which is real. And the case fatality rate is something that's very interesting. So Wall Street Journal had a great article yesterday with several studies that scientists have put together to try to find out what the real mortality rate is in this, because it's not 10%. They, based on everything they see from all of the studies globally, they've pretty much narrowed it down that it's well under 1%, probably hovering right around 1/2 of 1%, which people say, well, see, look at this. Look what we did. We destroyed everything for something. Well, first of all, it is more deadly than the flu. So that's something to take in. The second thing is you have to think about the net you cast. The flu cast a big net, but we have therapeutics and we have a vaccine. This cast a much wider net, and we have no therapeutics and we have no vaccine. So even if it's double or triple what the flu is, that's going to be a big number. So you can't take away from the reality that number 142 is double what a bad flu season would be. And at the end of the day, it's probably going to hover around 250,000, 200,000 before we find a good therapeutic and potentially knowing we're going to have a vaccine. And how good is that vaccine going to be? So it's very interesting to see the way they break it down. It's just simple. At the end of the day, though, it's simple to see that we have a real issue when it comes to the way that we protected the elderly and the people that really needed to be protected. And that if we'd have done this in a smart way, and I blame both the feds, Trump on down, to the governors, for not being in a situation where they look around and say, hey, best thing that we can do, mask, stores, places you need to be. Let's protect the elderly. Let's protect the people that need protecting. Let's spend this money wisely in doing that, but keeping our economy in it won't be what it was, but it'll be better than it is now. And we failed to do that in a lot of different ways, and we turned it political. And once something becomes political, you know what Trump said the other day when he tweeted out the picture of the baseball game, once somebody knees, I'm out. Kneels down. It's kind of the way I feel. Once it becomes political in a situation like this, I'm out, because you're not dealing with anything other than people who are trying to win a point, whatever that point is. And that's tough because they're identifying as that. And you're trying to tell somebody you're not that, or that is wrong. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me and text the program as well. Hope you're doing well. HelloFresh. HelloFresh. So I got HelloFresh a couple weeks ago, and it's so easy, I can do it. That's basically what it should be called. All kinds of great recipes. I'm pretty much a regular kind of, I didn't want a vegan or low calorie, so I went with the family-friendly options. And they got burgers and surf and turf. They've got everything, though. If you want low calorie, which is what I'm going to switch to next, they've got that. Vegetarian, they've got that. 22 chef-curated recipes. It's incredible. You don't have to worry about never-ending meal planning. They put it all there. It's a puzzle piece. You put it together, and it's delicious. And usually within about 20 minutes, you're ready to sit down and start eating. That's awesome. 40% is what I'm saving instead of shopping. Comes straight to my door. I don't have to worry about going to any kind of place to purchase stuff because it's contact-free and delivered right to you. Here's the other thing. Extra meals, you can do that. Skip a week, you can do that. Whatever it is that you need to do, boom, you can do that because HelloFresh is flexible and will fit your lifestyle. Get started today. It's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use promo code Benson. You're going to save $80 off your first box plus free shipping. Promo code is Benson. HelloFresh.com for $80 off and free shipping. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
On these hot summer days, you may have noticed something else missing due to this pandemic. All those local lemonade stands. Now, Country Time Lemonade is trying to right that wrong for some of those budding entrepreneurs. The makers of the brand of lemonade say it's sending $100 checks to kids who were part of the lemonade stand shutdown. Parents of the smallest business owners 14 years and younger can apply for the Littlest Bailout Program, including submitting an essay on how they will use the funds.
You gotta love that. Gotta love that. I had a lemonade stand when I was a kid. It's very entrepreneurial as a kid. That started into my craziness of fun in the world of entrepreneurialism that I still continue to do today. I'm always, forever looking for something else, saying, what else can I do? And I do a lot, but you can always do more. And I think that's kind of cool that they're doing that. Little bailout for the littles. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Joe Biden. So 2 weeks ago, he did an interview where, defunding the police, because it's very big. Defund the police. And he was like, yeah, we should defund the police. Then yesterday,
I am opposed to defunding police. Matter of fact, I call for putting more money in, $300 million, to provide for community policing.
So community policing. So not defunding, community policing. Wait, what does that mean? What's the community? Is that like Berkeley, where they're going to have, I don't even know, like community police officers that aren't really police officers dealing with traffic stops, which I got no problem with. Look, you think if you asked everybody in America, hey, would you like to get rid of traffic stops? They'd be like, yeah. We're not getting rid of them. We're just going to have people that are community organizers, if you will, or something, will come over and do traffic stops. So what does that mean? Are they going to, how does that work? How does that, and the same thing goes when you're on the freeway. Are you going to have people in certain areas, or is that going to be different? You're going to have, because it's funny, when we talk about policing, rarely do we talk about like the highway patrol and stuff like that. It's always police, sheriffs. We lump them all in together. But what about drunk drivers? Are we not going to do that? How's that work? It's very interesting. He's an interesting carrier. And the funny thing about, I see a lot of people on the left who are like, hey, one of the big things, like CNN's doing it now, and MSNBC's been doing it for a while, is Trump's cognitive ability. Is he insane? I'm like, you guys on the left, you don't do that. Of all the things to do, right? You can attack Trump for a lot of things. Call him what you want to call him. But when you start getting to the point of attacking his cognitive abilities, and you're rolling out somebody who continually forgets just about everything, who we all say, well, I think he's okay, but I wouldn't give him the keys to the car. But you'll give him the keys to the country. Like, pick a different battle. There's plenty of them to pick. There's plenty. There's plenty to pick from. And if you ask me today, who would be more empathetic in the handling of the virus? 100% Joe Biden. Who do I think is better at the economy? 100% Donald Trump. Foreign affairs, I think it's a toss-up. Right? Who do I think has a better cognitive grip on things? And I'm not saying Joe's crazy, but I think it's a fair question to ask. I would say Trump. Absolutely. So if you're going to bring a battle, just be smart about it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The protests start out peacefully here every night and then gradually turn into chaos. The mayor tells me that it's the presence and actions of federal law enforcement agents that have led to an increase in violence and vandalism.
I call BS on that. I'm just going to tell you right now, I call BS on them being there. The police were there. Look, it's about defunding the police, right? Isn't that what this is about? Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. Oh, wait, no, that's gone. Long since gone. Long since gone. Somebody wrote me earlier, because I don't like the feds being there. I think it's a state's issue. I think you should take care of it. This guy says, sorry, Chad, I have to say goodbye to you today after your comment about not being okay with feds taking violent, armed, and dangerous protesters off the streets. Switched over to Ben Shapiro. Great. Fantastic. That's what you should do. Find somebody in your groupthink. It's perfect. Your echo chamber you look for. Awesome. I love how so many people will tell me, I don't think the government should overreach in telling me to wear a mask, but you're okay with other things. No, the police should be stopping that. That's what the police should be doing. That's a them problem. You know it, and I know it. You know it, I know it. It's a them problem. But they have failed over and over again to do things that they need to do to stop the violent protests and allow the peaceful ones to continue to go on. How would you even know who the feds are? Here, they're unmarked. You don't see them. Producer Anthony goes, I disagree with you, Chad. I'm sure you do. That's fantastic. Look, I don't want the feds there. But before the feds got there, it was a nightmare. What happened to the CHOP? You going to blame the feds on that? No. You're not. Last night, Chicago, how about this? $17 people shot. Some places reporting 14, some people reporting 17. That is a funeral. People shot into the funeral. Luckily, it's Chicago. People shot back out. That is insane. Trump said, hey, some of these places you guys can't handle, we're going to send people in. Chicago, by the way, for those of you, I'm going to throw a little facts and data at you. One of the safest cities in the world. You hear about all the violence. The violence and the crime that takes place is in a small area in Chicago. You get into most of every other area in Chicago, you got nothing to worry about. But there is an area in Chicago that is very, very violent, and they are failing to do anything. Police chief is urging Trump to send somebody there, the mayor and everybody else, Mayor Lightfoot. No, you don't. No, we're not going to do that. No, don't do that.
In what critics say is clearly a cornerstone of his re-election strategy, President Trump is threatening to send in federal law enforcement to stop surging violence in major cities from New York to Chicago.
Look at what's going on. All run by Democrats, all run by very liberal Democrats.
This is a game he's playing to divert attention away from the many crises that are facing this nation.
You know, there's a lot of crises facing this nation. There's always crisis. When you're the president, when you're a governor, when you're a mayor, there will always be a crisis. But you have an issue in certain areas. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. But why are you screaming to defund the police when you can't even protect the people in certain areas? It's a joke. It is. I don't want the feds in anywhere. Well, Chad, they're going to argue. They're trying to destroy federal property. They're trying to do this. And constitutionally, do they potentially have a point? Yeah. But let's remember, how did we get to this point? Because we've allowed kids, we've allowed gangsters, we've allowed a lot of people to run wild with very little pushback on them. Very little pushback. Look at New York. It's becoming what? A cesspool. How about Seattle? This is interesting. So remember the CHOP, how great the CHOP was, right? This is a new thing. The CHOP this is going to be great. Well, guess what? Lawsuit time.
And I believe that the city let me down. They let my son down. They let the community down.
Donita Sinclair says her son would be alive today if the city shut down the CHOP right away.
And they need to be responsible.
She filed a wrongful death claim today and plans to sue the state, King County, and Seattle.
The city made numerous mistakes here.
The 19-year-old was gunned down in the CHOP this past June. Attorney Mark Lindquist says the city created a dangerous environment by allowing the CHOP to flourish.
You think? And I love what he says here about that. Remember, how many people were shot there? There were sexual assaults. All this was based on freedom and love and all of these things. And this is it. We're defunding the police. This is what the new world's going to be like. And, oh, by the way, could you bring us food? Oh, by the way, can you do all of this stuff? We're going to put up barriers, right? We're going to build a wall. We're going to check your ID. Oh, ho, ho. Well, what is it?
The city abandoned this area. And number two, the city had no safety plan in place for this abandoned area.
Lindquist is referring to police abandoning the East Precinct for weeks and also accuses officers and firefighters of standing by, refusing to assist Lorenzo.
One day, this is a block party. The next day, it's so dangerous you can't send in medics. I mean, which is it?
With all the barricades and protesters, first responders struggled to get into this area. Instead, volunteers rushed Lorenzo to the hospital where he later died. And so far, no one has been arrested.
I felt like he was alone.
Sinclair says she's seeking financial damages, but hopes this legal action prevents something like this from happening again.
I'm hoping that the city takes responsibility.
Well, of course they're going to end up having to pay out. But they abandoned their own precinct. They let this happen. Portland has let this happen for weeks. Protesters are one thing. Violent rioters are another thing. You got anarchists, you got communists. Some people say you got the Boogaloos or whatever they're called. You've got, people that are there to cause hell. What do I say? You put 100 people in the room and there's going to be a knucklehead or two. And that's all you need is one or two knuckleheads for stuff to go wrong. It's ridiculous. It is. Lawsuit. Good for her. She said, you know what? You don't care about black people. You don't care about anybody. They care about being woke. We're going to fight the president. We're not going to fight to maintain order in our city. We're going to go after something because we don't like who he is and his politics. But it is politics, because I guarantee you if Obama threatened to do that, those Democratic mayors would have spun around and said, oh, yeah, we better figure this out. Or that'd be a welcome if you did that. And those of you out there who say, well, I hope he brings the feds in, you would say, oh, Obama shouldn't be bringing the feds in. That's the funny thing. Oh, they switch sides? We need to switch sides too. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. What is going to happen when it comes to the coronavirus, but what's going to happen when it comes to pay? What's going to happen when it comes to unemployment? I mean, we're in a crazy, weird situation where it's floating out there that in a couple days, that unemployment's going to go away from the feds and you're going to be stuck with your unemployment from the state. Is that going to be enough to keep you financially secure in a time where you don't even know if you're going to be open or allowed to carry on working from one day to the next?
Earlier today, I said that Republicans were divided. I want to amend that. The Republicans are in complete disarray.
Some want a payroll tax. Mitch McConnell's not in favor of that. Some want to extend some of the unemployment benefits. Others don't. And it's going to be a battle to see. And the Democrats need to figure out what are you looking for? You're not going to get everything, right? We're not going to have a universal basic income for everybody until this is sorted out. At some point in time, you have to take away you have to cut the cord. It just has to happen. And so what is it that you feel is most important, Democrats? What is most important for you, Republicans? How do we come to, because Mitch McConnell's already talking about there's going to be another round of checks. Okay. There's going to be another round of the help for the companies that they could focus on tremendously that truly need it in small business. Fantastic. What about unemployment? How long, if you do extend it, it goes? How much is that going to be? Those are things that are really important. Nobody's talking about it the way that they should, because as usual, they're going to battle over, well, we want it our way or no way. Pelosi will do something and she'll pass it. It'll die in the Senate. The Senate will do something. Pelosi and them won't even look at it, and it'll go back and forth. The reality is we need to get this thing sorted out. And yeah, you know what? There is an issue when it comes to what even the Republicans want.
As members of Congress continue to hash out their differences on the next coronavirus relief package, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell acknowledged Tuesday that Republicans first need to determine their position on a payroll tax cut.
There are some differences of opinion on the question of the payroll tax cut and whether that's the best way to go. And so we're still in discussion with the administration on that.
President Trump has voiced his support for such a cut, but critics on both sides of the aisle say it would neglect those who are out of work.
Yeah. So I'm not in favor of that. I think they should extend it, the unemployment, but cut it, and another round of checks. But it can't be an incentive not to get back out there. And I think you got to start shifting some of that burden onto the states so they start making decisions. Because let me tell you something, the taxes that are going to be coming to everybody once this is done, especially state and local taxes, are going to be huge. Be prepared. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Rough Greens, my dog Doodle, bounces around. People always ask, is he real? I say go to roughgreens.com/Chad. Guess what you'll see? You'll see Doodle. He's right there. So Doodle had trouble with his hips. All my dogs, I got a couple puppies. They love Rough Greens, and they're as healthy and happy as can be. They bounce around. It's weird because my dogs really aren't into wet food, so they're dry food. Dry food's meant to sit on the shelf for God knows how long, 2-3 years sometimes. You can. So what's in it? Well, and there's nutrition in it, but it's not a lot, and none of it's alive. That's why Rough Greens comes in and is so helpful. You just sprinkle it on, and away you go. That's all it is. It's just a supplement. You get natural vitamins, digestive enzyme, probiotics. You get omega-3, 6, and 9. It brings the food to life and gives them all the stuff that they're missing out on, which in turn helps them. What has helped Doodle? Well, his fatty tumors don't hurt as much. His arthritic legs don't hurt as much. He runs, he bounces. He is living a life that he didn't live when we got him a few years ago. It is amazing. If you can do that for Doodle, you can do that for any dog. Do the best thing you can for your furry friend. Try the 14-day jumpstart from Rough Greens. It's about the best thing you'll ever do for your pal. Rough Greens can reduce or completely eliminate your dog's symptoms. Call 833-MyDog-88, 833-MyDog-88, or go to roughgreens.com/Chad, RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Hello, Hall 8!
Normally around this time, thousands of people would be crowding into convention halls in San Diego shoulder to shoulder to hear the latest about what Marvel or DC are doing, getting exclusive footage from their favorite TV shows, dressed in a costume they spent weeks creating. But because of the pandemic, San Diego Comic-Con goes virtual this year, which actually means more people get to experience it, with online panels including Charlize Theron, the cast of the upcoming Bill and Ted sequel, and hundreds of other events from now through Sunday. It's all free. The panels are pre-recorded, not live. And of course, you can still dress up as your favorite character.
That's weird, but feel free to do that. Comic-Con was huge. It's not going to be as fun, right? It's not going to be as fun. This is usually when you start, and we'll start to see it, they'll start rolling out the trailers for all of the stuff, right? So all the movies that people get excited for coming at Christmas, coming next year, they start to make those big announcements of all of these movies that are going to be popping out. You're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. At the end of the day, though, it's not the same because you don't get to go there, right? Part of it's the same, because you still get to go to TikTok and do your cool outfit, but you don't get to do it there and take a bunch of pictures with creepers. You know who you are, guys. Like, look at her. She's dressed like Sailor Moon. I know you're not looking for attention. I get it. Chad, they are looking for, I know that's a joke. They are looking for attention. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Oh, my Lord. This dog.
Where'd that dog come from?
4-year-old yellow lab Cleo feels right at home on the front porch.
She wouldn't let us quite come near.
Only thing, it's not her front porch anymore and hasn't been for nearly 2 years.
In November 2018, we moved in.
Colton had Cleo microchip checked, and to his surprise,
Brittany said, well, that's the people that used to live here.
It's 57 miles door to door from Olathe to Lawson, and neither family knows exactly how Cleo made the trip.
That's a hike.
Hitchhike, maybe? Probably just did it like a dog would do it over a day or so. Isn't it crazy, though, that they know that, where they're going? That's nuts. That is. And if you're the family of the dog, you have moved to a new place. You have brought the dog with you to your new place. You have fed this dog. You've raised this dog. And at the end of the day, the dog really doesn't seem to care so much about you as the property.
Turns out the owners had posted a Facebook page a week earlier about the missing dog. They couldn't believe it when Colton called and said Cleo walked home.
It's the most bizarre story, really. She's everything to us and my mother.
Colton says they weren't surprised that Cleo was scared.
Finds her way home and there's some strangers living in it. That'd be scary for anybody.
It just feels really good to feel reunited with her.
Now that we know who she belongs to, if she pops up again, we know who to call.
They may never know anything about her journey.
It's a mystery, something we'll probably never know.
Put a camera on her. Just in case she escapes. Just do it. Put a camera on her. Keep threatening to do that to Winston. I'm like, I'm going to get a little GoPro and put it on him. But, like, perfect example for Winston, my big rock iguana, who has free roam of the yard and the house. He, 2 days, he didn't get out of his window. He just sat there. It's like, so that would be the camera. Like, what did you do? Nothing. In fact, one day I was like, he hasn't moved all day. I should go check and see if he's okay. And he's like, why'd you wake me up? I'm sleeping. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. And no, I've got a big tortoise as well named Mural. And I don't talk much about Mural, but Mural zooms around the backyard and he's always just going 100 miles an hour. And he'll pass Winston, the big lizard, and they kind of look at each other and nod their heads and they keep going. I have a zoo. That's what I'm saying. What's the next thing in the zoo? You just don't know with me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program, check out the YouTube channel, Chad Benson Show TV. This is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Do you want the American people to judge you on the ballot in November by how you've handled this pandemic so far?
This, among other things. I think the American people will judge us on this, but they'll judge us on the economy that I created and that already we're creating. We're setting record job numbers, as you know. I think we're going to have a very strong year next year. I think we're going to have a very good fourth quarter, but I think next year is going to be a record year.
You want to hear that, right? Like, people, look, you're going to be judged on a lot of things. I'm an a la carte voter kind of way that I look at everything. I think Brett Weinstein put it best, a la carte. I'm an individual when it comes to voting for issues. The president and politicians, you've got to look at everything, the entire body of work. I give Trump a D for the way he's handled this. But I also look around the country and say, by and large, it's a D, at best a C, and a lot of F's sprinkled in there for the way that the states have handled situations when it comes to the coronavirus. But it's the biggest thing of your presidency. So there's going to be some judgment there. The economy was huge and the biggest thing up until this point of your presidency on the positive side. The end of the day, all of it's going to be put in there. What do I think is going to happen in November? I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you what's going to happen there. Some polls have Biden boat racing him, but more anonymous online polls that are not just, go to Drudge Report and vote, but actual anonymous online polling, much like the pollsters do when they call you, have it a very close race. I think it's more towards that than the other side, because I still think there's a lot of people out there who there's some, fear of repercussions of supporting Trump outwardly. A lot's going to go into, if this hadn't happened, if we hadn't had this coronavirus, I don't think we'd be talking about this being the kind of race it is. I think it would be Trump's to lose. And I think between now and the end of this entire election cycle, which will finish on November 3rd, at least in theory, but we won't know the results. I'm throwing it out there. I think it's going to be a week or two before we know the final results. And I think part of the reason for that is it's going to be a ton of mail-in. There's going to be lawsuits filed. And if it's as close as some people think it's going to be, then you know that everybody's going to be lawyered up. Now, if it is a boat race, then I don't think it matters. I think that we'll know closer, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's, closer to the second or third week before we figure something out for real when it comes to all of this. Because you're hearing voter suppression and voter fraud, voter suppression and voter fraud, So everybody's laying out their reason for losing and the other side winning and vice versa. So I expect there's going to be some lawsuit issues. But both of them, I think, at times will snatch a defeat from the jaws of victory, because I think they're going to fumble along the way in more ways than one. So it'll be very interesting to see the way that this plays itself out, because it's easy to be Biden and play Monday morning quarterback when you're not in it. Because let's be real, Obama never had this. Obama was saddled with a horrible economy. He was not saddled with this. It's a different world. There is no playbook. People are looking around right now. They're looking at the numbers and saying, okay, well, now what? Because states are starting to close down again. Industries in some states are closing down again while other things are limping along. People are still out of work. Real unemployment's closer to 21%. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Because the end of this month, it's gone. Your $600 a week from the feds, gone. So then you'll be reliant on only your state's unemployment. And people are going to be saying, Trump, what's next?
My team is also working night and day with Capitol Hill to advance the next economic relief package. We're working very hard on it. We're making a lot of progress. I also know that both sides want to get it done. We'll call it Phase 4. I think we're going to get it done. We'll protect our workers, our schools, and our families, and protect them very strongly.
Now, some of the stuff they want to put into this new one is extra money for schools in the reopening to help out some of the hardest hit industries with another round of PPP. But the question for a lot of people as individuals is, what about unemployment? Especially for those who, through no fault of their own, but because of the virus, their businesses have shut down or they're working minimally, or their businesses, they did the PPP, but they've run out of money and now they're on unemployment. Or like we had a bar here. It wasn't even a bar. It was a sports bar. But 68% of the way they work it in a lot of states is, what are your receipts, food to alcohol? They were told to shut down, or they were going to have their license suspended for 60 days because they weren't a restaurant, even though almost 70% of the money they make was food-based. That's the stuff that the average person's dealing with. Small, little, medium-sized businesses, just little things like that frustrates people. And so their people are turning around looking and saying, okay, so now I'm furloughed or I'm unemployed. What's going to happen when it comes to unemployment? And that's $600 extra bucks a week.
We clearly, I think, overwhelmingly feel that paying people more to stay home than to go back to work has been a deterrent to getting back to work. You're not likely to see anything like that in the starting place that I'll lay out in the next couple of days.
So we'll see. What do they want? White House wants payroll tax cut, which everybody will point out doesn't do anything to the people who are unemployed. The unemployed people out there are saying, especially those out there who are truly unemployed because of the coronavirus, not you who've been unemployed for 8 months, which is very few people, but the people who are unemployed are saying, well, that's not going to help us any because you're not getting a paycheck. And the states have also shut down my opportunity to work. So what do I do? And I think a lot of people are going to ask that question. The Democrats need to figure out exactly what it is they want and need.
Clearly, they have the ability to prevent us from passing anything, and that's been their mindset lately. You saw what happened to Tim Scott's police reform bill.
Yeah, which was a good bill. Wasn't a perfect bill. No bill is perfect, but it was a good bill. With all the stuff going on, defund police, they shot that down. Even a lot of people in the left-leaning media said that was a good opportunity to do some stuff. Remember, though, you're talking teams here. This virus is given the opportunity for things to become so political that if you can run out the clock, and that's a way to help your team, i.e. Biden, win, that's great. That's great. But people need help now. What they should do, the smart thing, because Mitch McConnell's already said, there's going to be more checks. Hey, we're going to reduce unemployment weekly, and we're going to extend it for another 60 or 90 days, and then after that, there will be no more extensions. We can't do another 60 or 90 days where a quarter to 40%, depending on the state, of businesses are shut down or working at absolutely reduced capacities. It's just you're just not going to be able to handle that. People are serious. What are you going to do? Reduce the unemployment, but keep it. Send out a check. You're not going to get everything you want. You're not. But you better come to some sort of agreement. Remember, you're our employee. So we've empowered you to go do something. And that includes the state, and that includes other things. So go do the things that you need to do as best that you can. At the end of the day, we're borrowing money for our future, and we're going to have to pay that back. And that's going to come in tax hikes across the board, from property taxes to personal income tax to capital gains and many other things. This ain't free. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Another night of unrest when it comes to Portland. And it's interesting because a lot of people are mad. Like, Chad, why don't you support law enforcement, the feds going in there? It's not that I don't. I look at this as a state thing, right? Because everybody wants states' rights until it's not states' rights or until it's the other side. And I also look at this as, why should the feds have to go bail out poor government in the way they've run things? Why should they have to do that? Really, honestly. Why should they? Well, somebody just wrote me and said, well, as a business owner, I would like to have them there. Well, as a business owner, maybe you should figure out how you put better people in place to handle things like this. And that's not going to be overnight. Now, if they were killing thousands of people, you could go, okay, well, this can't go on. They're not. You have, as the governor and as the mayor, you should have handled things better in Portland. Having the feds come in and clean up a mess that the state has allowed to go on, sorry. First of all, I feel like snatching people off the streets and the way they've done some of these things, yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable. And secondly, you're bailing out bad government. You're bailing out bad local government in the way they handle these things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Valor Gold, going to help you. It's very interesting. You know, people always ask me, okay, so you were a broker. I said, yeah, I was a broker. And I said, I did precious metals. I did currencies. You name it, I did it. And I said, look, gold is crazy interesting because it's been around forever. It's never going anywhere. It's never going to be worth zero. And if you go and look, if you put the same amount of money in gold and silver as you would have done the stock market, you look at this and you'd be like, wow, I'd be up how much in the last 20 years? 300%. Valor Gold wants to show you how you can not only protect in the volatile market that we're living in and the weakening of the dollar, but how you can build wealth. And it's amazing. Call 800-202-6936. They're not saying, hey, give us all your money. What they're saying is, let us show you how you can go out, diversify, protect yourself, and give yourself upside advantage. They've got 50 years of experience in the precious metals industry. They combined old school with new analytics, computer-based stuff. It's amazing. Gold and silver is also qualified to be added to your IRA. 800-202-6936. You're going to get a free exclusive copy of the number one way to protect your wealth with confidence from Valor Gold Group. 800-202-6936 or online at valorgoldgroup.com/Chad. VALOR goldgroup.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? All right, let's start over here. Magical world of Google and its searches. Kanye West, a lot of stuff about him. Says he's trying to divorce Kim Kardashian over Meek Mill. Ted Yoho, apparently AOC has accused him of calling her a blankingly blank. And he said, I didn't do that, but I did say that some of her ideas were blankety blank. Get where I'm going with that one. Oh, yeah. Alaska had an earthquake today, 7.8 magnitude. That's a big one, kids. Tsunami watch. Tsunami! QAnon. Twitter took down 7,000 accounts linked to the group. QAnon. And also limited another, I think it was 150,000 accounts worldwide. I don't even know what limited did. It's all these things are like, we're trying to figure out why we can't post anything on our Facebook. And then it found out that apparently we went against the community standards, although nothing we've done in the last several days has been taken down. So this is one of those mystery things that happened God knows when, that some 23-year-old in Silicon Valley has decided that is wrong. Let's head over to Twitter where we can have fun at Twitter time. Oh, yeah? Yeah, let's take a look. Shooting at a funeral home last night is trending. 14 people. Some people are saying 17 people were shot, but it was a shooting. It was just this. It was the Wild West. You know what it reminded me of? Back in the 80s when drive-bys really took off, you had a lot of people the gangsters, right? In particular, the Bloods and the Crips, because they were feuding big time. And one would be shot in a drive-by, and during the funeral, other people would drive by and shoot up, and vice versa. And I'm just like, this is a funeral, and they're shooting at a funeral. It is nuts. Welcome to the world that we live in this day and age. Meek Mill's also trending, as is the U.S. government, because they're going to spend $1.95 billion for 100 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. They're going to pay that to Pfizer and BioNTech. So we'll see how that goes. And if we get the vaccine, you got to get prepared, right? Because the absolute minute that we have a vaccine, you want to be first on it, have it prepared, roll it out as fast as possible so we can all get back to work, get back to living our lives, get back to hugging people, saying hi, eating out, living life. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Black Lives Matter was painted on the street across the country. One city took it down. Wait till you hear why they took it down. And, was a can of worms opened with one lady saying, hey, I'm going to do this. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
They really understand a responsibility to go out there and what baseball means to all of us as a country, and as professionals to go out there and you're still competing to help yourself win a baseball game. So, yeah, Jorge, it's going to be different. I hope fans can enjoy it from their homes and be safe.
I watched a little bit of a baseball game last night because I was like, I got to go to sleep. And I watched a little bit. It's weird. It's weird with no crowd. And somebody just texted me and said, Chad, I was going to text you yesterday because you said you don't like baseball, but you like soccer. They don't stop at soccer. It's 90 minutes. You get a halftime and that's it. When you go look at baseball, well, the score could be 1-0. That's what he said. I said, yeah, I've been to hockey games where it's 1-0. It's an exciting game. But we're so obsessed with the scoring, we could sit there and watch a baseball game that has how much action. Hey, we're going to bring in 5 pitchers to face this one guy. We're going to slow down, stop down. This inning's going to take 45 minutes. We're going to do the shift. It's going to be all of these. At some point in time, it's like, oh, God, I don't care. It's boring. It's the reason kids don't play baseball anymore. It's boring. My son hates baseball. He doesn't mind watching a game at a stadium. He just hates to play it. He didn't mind playing catch. If he and I go out or I'll hit some balls to him, he wouldn't mind that. Wouldn't play a game to save his life. Why? Because he goes, I'll stand out in the outfield, and unless you're a pitcher or a catcher, rarely the ball ever come to you. Boring. But it was weird watching the game with no fans. So I want to see what the NBA's like in the NHL. Both of them are going to be starting up here very, very soon. The NBA, the bubble's very interesting. So they have 0 players right now that have the coronavirus in the bubble. The NHL has 800 players, I think, with some expanded rosters now. So, and they only have 2 players that have tested positive. And there's not really a bubble per se with them because they're going to be playing in different cities. So it's not like it's one locale. So it's going to be interesting, though. I want to see how the NHL handles it and how the NBA handles it, because playing the baseball games in a giant empty stadium with no sound, it's not like soccer where at least they can pipe it into the television and it makes you feel like there's ambiance and there's something there and you really only focus on the field. You see the emptiness and you hear the emptiness in a baseball game. It's weird. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. So Black Lives Matter became, it was such a movement. People started painting it on the streets, and then governors and mayors and everybody said, hey, we're going to start letting people do this right there. And we're going to go, Mayor de Blasio, the clown of clowns. He goes out right in front of Fifth Avenue, right there where Trump is. I'm going to paint Black Lives Matter. We're going to do all this stuff. We're going to show him. Hold on a second.
Redwood City's Black Lives Matter mural on Broadway has been quietly washed away. The mural was painted a little over 2 weeks ago, but as a new proposal emerged, the bright yellow letters soon vanished.
They made the decision to take Black Lives Matter off the street at the first person that proposed the MAGA 2020.
Oh, what? Yeah. When you did this, you made the public area of a street free speech. Somebody came and said, hey, I'm going to throw up something too, because you've allowed this, so I should have my speech.
Black Lives Matter.
Dan Pease was surprised by the removal, considering the city supported the mural and even supplied the paint. Then, last week, the 17-foot letters were erased shortly after a local real estate attorney requested a Trump campaign slogan be painted nearby.
Black Lives Matter is not a political statement. Black Lives Matter is a human rights issue.
Well, it's free speech, though. You've turned something into free speech. It doesn't matter what it is. So listen to Tim Pool, who said something funny about this. So that you could go paint a picture of the galaxy. It wouldn't matter. At this point in time, you've turned it into an area of free speech. So, in theory, you're going to have to let them, whatever it is. You can put up whatever you want. All lives matter. No lives matter. 2 + 2 is 4. You've now allowed it to become part of the public forum. Did you not think there was going to be some blowback? And there's lawsuits now everywhere that are popping up saying, hey, we want our slogan or whatever it is heard.
Maria Rutenberg argues the public space was being used to promote a limited private agenda and that Redwood City has become an arbiter of private political expression. A statement reads in part, quote, governments cannot and should not get to pick and choose who should be allowed to speak.
Yeah, how about this? What if you wanted to say, choose life? So I like what they did. They're like, well, we'll just get rid of it. And can I just say this? They also gave him, the guy who painted it, guilty white guy, they also gave him the paint to do it.
Now that cities open up asphalts as public forums, everyone with any political message is free to write their own. I, for one, would like to paint MAGA 2020. At a time like this, it's especially important that we allow free and open political discussion for all sides, not just BLM.
And you don't think BLM is political? None of you think BLM is political? None of you. Come on. The slogan itself and the spirit of which it is put out there is one thing. But if I write choose life or if I write my body, my choice, you don't think that's political? Of course it is. Maybe free speech, but it's political. So they just decided we're just going to have nobody. We're just going to have nothing. We're getting rid of it. But wait.
Pease says city officials told him last week they plan to remove the mural for violating traffic and vehicle codes. But he believes the quick removal came in fear of any legal pressure. Pease would like to discuss any differences with people in his community who think Black Lives Matter is a political message.
I don't agree with MAGA 2020, but if somebody that supports Trump wants to put MAGA 2020 and the city of Redwood City wants to support that, then more power to that individual.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you're allowing the city to get to pick and choose, that's not the way it works. You don't get to pick and choose speech that you like or don't like. They also gave you the paint to do it. And if it was such a big traffic violation, they shouldn't have allowed you to do it and supplied you with the paint. It's a can of worms. And there are lawsuits out there for people who want to put their message in places. Be prepared. The fact that Bill de Blasio went out, painted it. Don't tell me, and you did it in front of, here's the thing. If you don't think it's political, then why did Bill de Blasio do it in front of Trump's house in New York? If it's not political, why did he do it? Because it is political. That's the reality of that. It is political. And there you go. The can of worms has been opened. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program as well. COVID, as we know, pain in the butt. How about this? Also costing you money?
In Missouri, an extra 5% tacked on for barbecue. In North Carolina, an extra $10 on the dental bill.
We need to spread the pain around just a little bit.
And at this restaurant in Chicago, a whopping 26% fee added to each bill.
This was just a real power struggle for us to be able to stay in business.
They eventually rolled it back. As the pandemic raises operating costs, businesses from coast to coast are adding a new line to their bills, a COVID surcharge.
Uh-oh. Yeah, people are trying to figure it out. At first, when it was businesses were shut down and people were going and supporting some local businesses, and they weren't really worried at that point in time if this thing was going to last 60, 90, 120 days and unemployment, and they were going to get their checks and stuff, and people were trying to do stuff. But as it started to sink in that this is going to be around a while and businesses were struggling, especially restaurants that were either told you could be takeout only, or if you were to be open, it was completely reduced capacity, where keeping the doors open was going to cost you money. Everybody's trying to figure out exactly how they go about getting a little something because they're looking to survive.
Businesses have made big changes to reopen safely, from setting up outdoor dining to plexiglass protections, all of which cost a whole lot of money.
In New Jersey, the Coco Bond Spa is back open after 99 days with new COVID precautions like masks, gloves, and protective barriers.
We decided to implement a COVID surcharge.
With the new costs and rising prices for even her standard supplies, owner Erin McCabe is passing along some costs to customers.
The COVID surcharge is just a $2.50 surcharge that is applied to each bill.
Yeah. And you've seen it with other things, right? We've had, in places like California where they've got like what is it? It was climate change. They've added surcharge, health surcharge. Some people would probably be pissed. Look, if I went somewhere and I saw that, because I don't think it's going to last forever. I think we all realize that. But if I saw an extra dollar added to something and I knew it was helping the business, as long as they put that up front, or even said, give people the option, like they do with the climate change stuff, I would have zero problem. I get it. Right? I get it.
Some retail analysts think the surcharge could backfire.
A lot of people really feel that there's a gotcha to this. We as consumers have the right to decide where we want to shop, and I think that's the risk for these companies that put in a surcharge that may not be popular.
I saw that surcharge on the receipt, and I wouldn't pay a tip at all. It's another greedy hand in my pocket.
Oh, settle down. Now, if it's something from Amazon or something from a major corporation, if it's my little pizzeria down the street, I have this little Mexican restaurant I go to, and they've done fine because they're mostly takeout. It's like a little drive-through, and you can go in and eat. But I've never, even when there wasn't, I very rarely saw anybody in there. But if they added 50 cents or a buck and it was posted, I'd have zero problems with that. I have bigger problems, especially with some of the companies that would want to add something to this in major corporations. But I think most of us, especially when it comes to small business, are trying to do everything. But here's the thing. If you got to give people the option, because I think by and large, if you're giving them the option, most people will be willing, it's okay in this situation, and I'm okay with it. And I'm not going to tip somebody because you got an extra $2, you clown.
For Erin at the Coco Bond Spa, she says the surcharge is a necessary cost of doing business in the pandemic.
The surcharge is not for us to make money. It's just to stay afloat.
No, I have a problem with that. I don't. But give people the option. Don't surprise people. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program again. Car Shield, amazing, incredible. Let's talk about Car Shield for a second. So as people look to keep their cars longer and longer, my friend, she's bought a new, a used car, and the first thing she did is she goes, I got Car Shield. Yeah. She's worried about the engine, transmission, the HVAC, those kind of things. She got Car Shield. They plan start as low as $99 a month. For a lot of people out there, you're saying, you know what, I want to keep my car a little bit longer, but I don't have a warranty. This is where Car Shield comes in. You can do it a la carte. Tell them exactly what they're looking for. Be specific, and you watch what they can do for you. They've got a price that fits what you're looking for cover repairs, 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. The shop is the shop that you choose. It's that simple. Go to carshield.com/Benson. When you do, you're going to save, yes, are you ready for this? 10%. It's that simple. carshield.com/Benson. Call 800-CAR-6000. Use the code Benson to save 10%. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson, save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege. Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, fool. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
What we see in Portland is that the federal presence is actually making the situation worse, and we cannot allow that here in New York City nor anywhere else in the country.
I don't know if it's making it worse. Some people say, oh, it absolutely is. Well, it was like, we're what, 54 days, 55 days into this? They didn't show up when it was peaceful. They showed up when it started to get out of hand. And when they started burning down federal buildings or trying to. That's like, I'm in Phoenix. We had protests. They were peaceful. Feds never showed up here. I mean, they didn't. Feds aren't in Los Angeles. They had peaceful protests, large ones. Seattle, you allowed things to go on a very long time. Portland, we're at 54 days. Let's just say they've been there for a week, although some people say it's less, but let's just say they've been there for a week. The first 45 to 50 days, it's kind of a mess. People keep saying the Feds should be in there. I'm like, no. No, it's a state. Stop having the Feds bail out the states for poor government. You've allowed this to happen. You have. You've told people to stand down. You've told them to basically let them do what they want to do and blow off their steam. You've not wanted to do anything. You at any time could have said, you know what? There's an 8 o'clock curfew. Everybody else after that is going to be arrested. You could have done some things, Mayor. You could have done some things, Governor. You chose not to. And now you blame your poor governing on the Feds being there. It's a bunch of crap. I don't want the Feds in the cities. I don't. Look, if there's slaughter going on and you see that it is a true uprising, not a bunch of pissed off, urban dwelling, iPhone loving, too educated white kids. If it was a real like knockdown battle in the streets and we're talking about hundreds of people getting slaughtered, that's a different story. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a bunch of turds who are the epitome of white privilege for the most part, who hijacked the George Floyd situation and the murder of him. That's more or less what it is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program. And you can't stream states' rights and then turn to the Feds for all those people out there like, I'm glad that he's doing this. You're glad because if it was Obama doing it, and let's just say Obama was president and those people stormed the courthouse or the wherever it was in Michigan a couple months ago, and you'd have flipped. So let's all just take a deep breath. Again, the Fed shouldn't be bailing out poor government. Let them do what they want to do. If they want to burn down Portland, let that be Portland's fault. Because eventually, the people of Portland will have enough, and they'll go, we need to find new leadership. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Some areas of our country are doing very well. Others are doing less well. It will probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better. Something I don't like saying about things, but that's the way it is. It's what we have. You look over the world. It's all over the world, and it tends to do that.
That's just the way it is. Little Bruce Hornsby. It's going to get better before it gets worse. What? Yeah. It's going to get worse before it gets better. What? It's going to go sideways. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. It's going to go this way. It's going to go that way. I don't know. It's just going. It's the only thing you could say at this moment in time. It's just going. Some states are doing better. I look at a few things. I look at the death rate. To me, how many people have it? What's the rate of death? Is it Absolutely. Because if you've seen, remember what happened? We got to 100,000 and 120, and it was going to be this is it. We're going to have 200,000 by August 1st. And while it's spreading, remember, we have the European version of the China virus. We went BASF or whatever. We don't actually make it. We just make it better. So what they did in Europe, apparently, is they allowed this thing to go a little sideways, which made it easier to catch, but less lethal. So the chances of you surviving this, far greater than the original strain, but the chances of it spreading to 5, 10, 15 people instead of 2 or 3, much greater. So at the end of the day, kind of cancel each other out because of the spread of this thing. So death rate, casualty, mortality. People are looking at what does that really look like?
Our case fatality rate has continued to decline and is lower than the European Union and almost everywhere else in the world. Today, the average age is significantly younger. Hospital lengths of stay are almost half of what they were in April. So the stays are about half. The rate of cases requiring hospitalization has been reduced, and mortality among those admitted to the hospital is nearly 1/2 of what it was in April.
Which is great. And that's what you want to hear. They're learning how to treat it better. What we did, but also what the Globe did, is we did a bad job protecting the people that needed it. The elderly, the people that have pre-existing conditions. And I'm not talking about the person at home who's maybe got diabetes or something like that. I'm talking about people that may be in homes, assisted living facilities, who are not elderly, but for whatever reason, brain damage, they car accident, they're in a position where they're vulnerable. We didn't do a good job protecting those people. And that's where the focus really should have been. We should have been forward thinking in that, and not just at the Fed level. States failed miserably at this.
The median age of those who succumb to the China virus is 78 years old. Roughly half of all deaths have been individuals in nursing homes or long-term care. In one study, 90% of those hospitalized had underlying medical conditions. Young adults may often have mild or even no symptoms. They won't even know they're sick. America's youth will act responsibly, and we're asking everybody that when you are not able to socially distance, wear a mask, whether you like the mask or not.
Wear the mask, the political thing. To mask or not to mask, that is thine question. I had a text from somebody last night. Says, I'm a Trump supporter and I will never wear a mask. Okay. Don't freak out when you're not allowed in a store. Just understand that. Just don't freak out. 78, the medium age. That's what everybody's been saying, right? Like nobody, I don't want to see anybody die. 78 is the medium age of death. That is, when you think about it, 78.54. So 78 and a half years is the life expectancy in the U.S. So let's think about that for a second. Nobody wants anybody to die. But when you put it like that, you're like, did we overdo it? Do we get to the point where, and nobody wants to be the leader of, nobody wants to be Larry from Jaws who wants to keep the beach open while the shark's out there eating everybody. Nobody wants to be that. But hindsight being what it is, we should have done better. And I hear, well, masks work. A lot of countries that didn't have masks, and they did really well. They didn't have a mandate. So, do I think they work? Absolutely. I don't think that. I think the evidence is pretty real that they do something. Now, is it as much as some people think? Probably not. But it's also not nothing. At the end of the day, though, it also does something psychologically to people, which for a lot of people gives them a little bit of comfort. It's like the TSA. TSA doesn't do anything at all. At all. They do nothing. They're a placebo effect. for a lot of people. Do you think that taking out your laptop and taking off your shoes and belt in some way, shape, or form is stopping some madman who wants to do something? Do you really think that? Nah. But it's a placebo effect. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program. One thing he did do yesterday that was bizarre. First of all, the question was odd and the timing. And then the answer was weird.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and so a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew. You've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well.
Huh? You wish her well? The right answer should be, look, I've met her a few times, not really following it. I mean, is it subtle to I hope she survives? Could that have been a subtle jab? But the potential pimp, child molester of a child molester, I don't know if I'm wishing them well. I have to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm a big wishing them well person. She's got her rights. She's got due process. She probably should have been allowed to get bailed out and to be released. In saying that, it is an odd, hey, does she know stuff? Oh, absolutely. Now, who's going to get to her first? Is it the Clintons? Is it MI6? So Prince Andrew's not going to be in trouble? The Royals? Some other nefarious group? It's possible. Plus, you had the shooting of that judge's son and her husband, who was just put on a case that involved Epstein, among others. Odd. Can't make this stuff up. But I don't know if I'd have wished her well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program. Pelosi.
Well, I think with the president's comments today, he recognized the mistakes that he has made by now embracing mask wearing, and the recognition this is not a hoax. It is a pandemic that has gotten worse before it will get better because of his inaction. And in fact, clearly, it is the Trump virus.
It's the Trump virus. Actually, everybody says, isn't it racist? He says Chinese virus. I'm like, that's you look at everything through the lens of race, so it doesn't matter what he says. You go back in history and you look at viruses, they're pretty much named outside of the Spanish flu, which really, the only reason the Spanish flu is called the Spanish flu, we'll go over this again, quick history lesson. During World War I, there was basically all the press was shut down when it comes to certain coverage of what was going on in the war. They wanted the people at home to believe that everything was hunky-dory. The only free press was the Spanish press, and they talked about the flu ravaging people around the globe. So that's why they dubbed it the Spanish flu. Who knows where it started? Some people say it started here. Some people say it started in the UK. But they dubbed it the Spanish flu because of that. It's not the Trump flu. You wanted to call it the Wuhan flu, which would have been apropos, by the way. The China flu, I'm okay. There's a battle. China today, what happened today? They tried to steal a bunch of stuff here in the United States from the Danes. Right? They're trying to hack in everywhere they can when it comes to trying to find information out in what? In what's going on with the virus and how that maybe, just maybe, in some way, shape, or form, they can see what we're up to medically. Try to do it to the British. They're doing it to everybody. You want to call it the China flu? We're not talking about the individual person on the streets in China. That's where everybody goes. Like somebody in Beijing or Wuhan or, is just, oh my God, Trump said what? No, it's about the awful Chinese government that takes zero responsibility, wants to dominate the globe. And I love how Nancy's just totally fine. Just like everybody will forget the fact. Did you guys see? Here's a perfect. Producer Phil, have you seen the new Bronco?
I have.
Did you see that China's already rolled out an identical Bronco?
I did. I read that the other day.
There you go, kids. Keep protecting them. Two-way the globe is going to go. It's going to go their way or it's going to go our way. I like freedom. But if you enjoy watching the Uyghurs get put on buses and trains and sent to re-education camps, of which they probably will never return, to the tune of 2 to 3 million, that's on you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Yeah, the new Bronco. They steal intellectual property. They cheat at every turn. They care only about the result. You get mad at Trump, there's other places. You can be mad at him, but there's other places you need to be really wary of. Really wary of. Trump could have done a better job with China. Whoever the next president is, better get their heads out of the butt and be as strong as possible. Absolutely. And I know we walk a fine line because we love our cheap goods. But we got to start making some serious decisions in which way we're going to be headed and start holding especially China absolutely accountable. Absolutely accountable. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Purple, sleeping so well in my purple mattress. Climbed into bed last night, and then I woke up. I don't even remember falling asleep. Thank you, Purple. Delivered right to your door. You get free returns. You get free shipping. It's a 100-night trial. Put it to the test. See what this grid is all about. It's patented technology that is incredible. They have used technology to advance the way you sleep, and it is for everybody. Your sleep style, no matter how you sleep, sideways, on your back, so whatever it is, it absolutely contours to your body. It's incredible. It's got temperature neutral gel. It's just amazing. You're never going to sleep. If you wake up and you're like me and I woke up and I was always my shirt was wet. I felt, oh, goodness me. Never going to happen again. It's not. I'm telling you guys, for pennies a day, you're going to love this mattress. It is incredible. Never going to lose shape. Never going to sink. Firm where you need it. Soft where you want it. Go to purple.com/Benson. Use the promo code Benson for a limited time. $150 off any Purple mattress order of $1,500 or more. Again, pennies a day over the lifetime of it. It is the most amazing thing you will ever do for you, your body, and your sleep. Purple.com/Benson. Use promo code for that $150 off. Purple.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
I rise to apologize for the abrupt manner of the conversation I had with my colleague from New York. It is true that we disagree on policies and visions for America, but that does not mean we should be disrespectful.
That's Ted. Is it Yoho? I want to say Yahoo, but it's Y-O-H-O. So I'm going to say Yoho, who apparently said something. It's really weird about AOC, and he disputes that what she was told or supposedly heard is what he said, and it's bizarre.
The offensive name calling words attributed to me by the press were never spoken to my colleagues, and if they were construed that way, I apologize for their misunderstanding.
Okay, so they were never spoken to your colleagues, but if they were heard, what he says is, I think he called her crazy or something like that, and then said that her plans and what she wants, the Green New Deal and everything, is a bunch of BS. Somebody said he called her a blankety blank. You get where I'm going with that. I don't know. It's children's stuff. It's just a bunch of kid stuff. I don't like. Well, what do you say? It's like so stupid that you guys are talking about this at this point in time. People are looking around going, hey, what are we going to do? Are we going to be able to survive? Are we going to have unemployment anymore?
We clearly, I think, overwhelmingly feel that paying people more to stay home than to go back to work has been a deterrent to getting back to work. You're not likely to see anything like that in the starting place that I'll lay out in the next couple of days.
This is Mitch McConnell trying to figure out exactly what they're going to do. What is the starting place? The starting place for Mitch is he doesn't want a payroll tax. He wants to do a check, another round of stimulus, but he doesn't want unemployment from the feds, and especially at $600 a week on top of your state unemployment. So, because he feels it's disincentive to go to work. Why would you go to work? I talk about my little sister. She was bankrolling. She's making like $1,000 a week. She's 19 years old for not working. She's like, why would I want to get a job? That's not everybody, but you understand. A lot of people, if you think the average person in this country makes $40,000 a year and you are giving them the equivalent or more to stay home, that is a disincentive to try to get people back to work and jumpstart. But that also goes to whether or not we can reopen the economy. Because if you have nowhere to go, well, that's tough. That's a tough place to be. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The other side of this is probably in 4 to 6 months, we either have a vaccine or this has just run its course through the population. You can control the spread. What's happening in the South right now in states like Texas and Florida and California and Arizona, the reason why it may peak in several weeks is because if you look at Google mobility data and you look at open table reservations, you see consumer activity declining. And that's going to be the backstop in the absence of policy decisions by these local officials. The backstop is going to be consumers starting to wear masks and starting to pull back a little.
That's Dr. Scott Gottlieb. Well, we're not going to have a vaccine in 4 to 6 months that's going to get to everybody. So the reality is, if you think, listen to what he says here.
And the other side of this is probably in 4 to 6 months, we either have a vaccine or this has just run its course through the population.
So are you saying it's going to be herd immunity? I mean, what's the, not quite, because 4 to 6 months. So let's just say first of the year, maybe we have a vaccine, maybe we don't, but either way, it will have run its course. And what exactly does that mean? Look, I think there's a happy medium in the way that we could do things, and we should be doing it in a lot better way than we're doing them now. And that happy medium is, mask up when you need to mask up. Try to do as best as you can social distance-wise. A little bit of hygiene goes a long way. And I think you're going to be all right. And also protect the people that need to be protected, the vulnerable, the elderly, the best that you possibly can. That's kind of that's the best we can do outside of shuttering in our homes. We can't do that. So how do we find the happy medium that says, hey, we're going to mask up, but you're also going to go back to work. You're also going to do the best you can to assume the same kind of life you had pre this. It won't be the exact same, but you're going to get as close as you possibly can. We're going to allow you to go out to eat. As long as it's outside, we're going to close, off a portion of the restaurant, but we're going to allow you to go see a movie. We're going to allow you to try to get back some resemblance of a normal thing, because we're confident that the mask thing works enough that we'll stop it and allow businesses to reopen, and many of them in the same way. Now, it won't be the same, because you've got people that are out of work. You've got people that are scared that there's going to be another shutdown. You've got financial issues that have built up over the last 90 to 120 days. So it's not going to be the same. You may not have as many customers and the need for as many employees, but at least we're moving in that direction. It just takes a little bit of personal responsibility, which we all know many of us are lacking.
So if we all decrease our activity a little bit, we adhere better to masks, that can preserve a lot of the things that are most important to us, including sending our kids to school. So there are ways to keep this under control. Some states have chosen not to do that, and that's why you're seeing this continued spread. We haven't been able to find some happy medium between sort of hapless spread and strict lockdowns that's socially and culturally acceptable to enough people. That's what we need to find ultimately in this country.
By the way, the school thing is going to be a battle because as much as, everybody rallies around the teachers, I just find it weird that, you're not essential or you want to find out a way that I want to be, look, nobody wants a teacher, anybody gets sick. I've yet to find somebody who goes, man, I hope a bunch of people get this. Idiots, maybe. Again, there's knucklehead everywhere. But the reality is we got to find a way to send kids back to school. It's that's it. But it's hard, right? Because you've got so many people that are just like, no, kids shouldn't go back to school or we should, keep them home and what? I mean, if you're a parent, what are you going to do? And one of the other things that I've talked to a bunch of teachers and I've talked to a bunch of parents and me being a parent, it can't be stop-start. That's the other thing. It can't be stop-start. You cannot send the kids to school and then 4 or 5 weeks in say we're closing it down again. Parents, and I think this is going to change schooling, much like it's going to change a lot of the way that we do things in the world. Work, businesses. Here where I am, we've got a pretty big office space. And they're like, we don't know if we're ever going to bring back the salespeople. Even when things get back to normal, we'll have a space for them to come and work. But by and large, there's no reason to have a space this big. We can condense big time. So that's going to be a big whoa. But same thing for schools. I mean, we've been talking, and quite frankly, we're just like at the point where, Jack, you can just school online. I mean, if you got to do it again this year, you might as well just do it for a while, and you're going to have your sports eventually again, and a lot of the other stuff, and it's. I think this is going to make people think, especially colleges, man. If I'm a college right now, I'm looking around, going, "Woo, we're charging theater prices for a Saturday afternoon television show." I don't know if we're going to be able to get away for that for very long. I know the University of Arizona, U of A, is allowing their professors and their faculty to decide if they want to return to class or not, or if they only want to do Zoom. I'd be pretty pissed. So you want me to pay how much? And the guy that's going to teach it or the gal that's going to teach it only wants me to do Zoom? Well, why don't I just go onto YouTube and find out what they were going to teach? Wouldn't that be easier and cheaper? Just saying. And the teacher thing is, the Fed shouldn't be forcing the teachers to go back to school. Well, first of all, I don't want a Fed shouldn't be in education anyways. It should be a state thing, and the states are going to make their own decisions on what they're going to do. Like here in Arizona, Ducey, the governor's useless. So they're already going about doing their own thing. I don't think kids are going to go back to school unless there's something magical that happens, till the first of the year at the earliest. And if you're a parent, what do you do? What if you can't work from home? Now you've got to put your kids somewhere else if they're younger that's not school, or quit your job. It's just a lot of bad choices out there. A lot of bad choices. Most teachers I talk to want to get back to work, and most of them realize there's a certain sense of risk, but it's also how do you handle it if you're a teacher and a school district and a school. Kid test positive. So do you shut down that classroom only? You send everybody home and quarantine them for 2 weeks? I mean, how does that? You got to have all these rules. So a lot of that I'm seeing is like we would not feel comfortable unless we go back until there's a vaccine. And my question to that is, what if we never get a vaccine? And this thing lasts 2 years. Because you're still going to want to get paid, right? You want to get paid. Oh, yeah. Okay. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Chad, I can't believe you said that. Look, this is the way I feel about teachers. They're great. They're teachers. I had some good teachers. I had some bad teachers. I had some awful teachers. And that's a job. And it's a career. And you chose it. And I don't want you to get sick. I don't want anybody to get sick over this. But this is the new political battleground. It's mass. Now it's teachers. I mean, we've already chosen that Jack's not going to go to school this year the way he did last year. Just it's partly because he's got an aunt that is very close to them, and she's got 2 new lungs that she got 3 years ago. She is masked up and in the house 25 hours a day. That's what we joke about. She is not gone anywhere. And because they participate by bringing their food and doing all those kind of things, this is what we've decided. But even if there wasn't that, Jack needs to get into a structure that is real. Last year was a debacle. It was an absolute joke. His mom, who's uber progressive and liberal, she goes, maybe I should get paid to do this because I'm doing a lot of the work. And I feel like, the 1 or 2 emails I get every once in a while at bizarre times doesn't feel like it's adding up to what it should be. And I think you're going to get a lot of that too. And you watch what happens. The longer this goes, parents who are sympathetic will stop being once it starts to truly encroach in certain ways. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You could text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Joe Biden.
Make of a president of the United States who's threatening again to take health care away from 20, 30 million people as his campaign strategy, and again going back to the idea of kicking out immigrants.
Look, this guy has no sense of empathy or concern for people.
By the way, I'm just going to say, immigrants, documented, let's people that have come here in a manner that is not legal, did not follow the law. There's a way to do things. You can be empathetic and also have laws. You can have an understanding, but say, look, we put a law in place. Just want to throw that out there, right? As Joy Reid tries to twist it into this, oh my goodness scenario. And I like what Trump's doing when it comes to the executive order as far as the census. I don't think if you're here illegally, sorry, I'm going to say you shouldn't be counted towards the population when it comes to how many Congress people you have and how much federal money you get. Sorry, shouldn't work that way. Because why wouldn't you want to pad it? Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could, huh?
People are dying. Families are bereft. People are so worried about being able to see their grandmoms and grandpops for fear that they may get the COVID.
Bereft. Dying. Bereft. It's so funny.
I am opposed to defunding police. As a matter of fact, I call for putting more money in, $300 million, to provide for community policing.
Last week he said he was fine with defunding the police. It's so bizarre. The whole thing. It is. All of it is bizarre. What do you think?
And you know what? If Biden got in, the whole country would go to hell. And we're not going to let it go to hell. Thank you very much.
Oh, my Lord. Now, there are a bunch of people out there, staunch conservatives, who are never going to vote for Trump. By the way, they're conservatives in a way that's much different. Like, they probably, to a person, will tell you, oh, I don't mind some of the actions. It's the person, his personality, that doesn't fit and check the box of conservatism. Trump is Trump.
Who do you plan to vote for in November?
Biden.
Oh, yes. Have you voted for a Democrat before?
Never.
That's George Will, staunch conservative. And the never Trumpers in the Republican Party or the conservatives out there, they're still conservatives. Their dream is more seats in the Senate, take back the House, put Biden in there. It slows down to a crawl. Nothing gets done. And roll out somebody new, more along the line of a Reagan type or something like that, and get back at it.
First time you've ever voted for a Democrat for president.
That's right. I have nothing against Democrat, but I've never had the occasion to vote for one. This year I will. I'm a big believer in parties, party strength and party tickets. Not this year, because I don't have a party, I'm a free agent.
Everybody, I'm telling you, be a free agent, please. It's the greatest thing ever. Be a free agent. Make everybody, if you were a political, like I always feel like I'm wandering in the wilderness, but I'm not, because we are the exhausted majority and we're the free agents. Convince me that you are worthy of my vote. Too many people like that are party voters across the board because they believe in the ideology and the things that the Republicans or Democrats offer. The problem is, much like everything else, by the time they get to do anything, it's watered down with so much crap and so much things been thrown in there and so many lobbyists and people have had their hands in it. It never resembles what it was truly meant to be. But be a free agent. I always say it, and I will say it always. Never fall in love with a politician. Fall in like. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
So does that make this just a referendum on Trump and really make defining or smearing Biden not relevant?
It would mean something if, say what is Trump doing wrong and what you could do to make it better. Biden hasn't done that. In fact, no Democrats have done that. They sit there and they complain, but they don't have any tips on how to do it better.
And that's politics nowadays, right? It's so much easier to be in the seat that Biden's in a situation like this, because you can see the mistakes are made. You can criticize all you want. And at the end of the day, you're not being held accountable for anything at all. So much easier. What's easier to do? Play defense or offense? Offense is easy. Offense is fun. Defense is hard. Defense is the hardest thing to do. There's a reason that cornerbacks in the NFL get paid the exorbitant amount of money they do, because stopping receivers is extremely hard. Offense is fun. Defense sucks. That's the reality. It is just chasing guys down, doing stuff. It's just it's at best you tie by and large. And at worst, you lose. And that's why in politics, it's so much easier to be the team out of power, because there's no pressure on you. And you can criticize all you want.
Look, Biden isn't far left. He's far gone. If he thinks demilitarizing the military would placate the left, he'd do it. This guy is so malleable, he makes Gumby look like John Kerry. And I think he should pick Liz Warren. After all, she's a woman of color, she's the first lady astronaut, and she discovered penicillin. She is the greatest woman that ever lived, and I think he should pick her.
Greg Gutfeld makes me laugh. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Feel free to text the program. Love hearing you. Check out the Chad Benson Show TV on the old YouTube. Feel free to do that as well. Man, this week feels like it's slowly flying by. That makes sense. Already through the Wednesday, getting over the hump. That is a wonderful thing. It is. Today, can you be kind to each other, even for 5 minutes? Can you step out of yourself, even for a minute or two? Just for a second. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. It's not that hard. It isn't. Just think for a moment. Could I be kind? Or should I be the eternal troll? You know who you are out there. Follow along with me. Have a wonderful, amazing day. We will do it again. I'm thinking tomorrow is when we're going to do it again. I will see you on the radio. Night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.